you doing? I feel I just came through the door. I heard my name. Such a delight to be with you today. I have a question for you. How many of you want to thrive rather than just survive in leadership? You know the kind of thriving that Jesus alludes to when he says, I had come to give you life and life to the fullest. Sounds incredible, isn't it? Like, not to the fullest, like to the fullest in a French Canadian way. Now let me ask you this question. Are you living the abundant life? Have you ever been asked a question that shook you up to the core and left you completely transformed? Well, such question came in my life at a time in my life where I thought I was living the abundant life. I mean, I was traveling the nation to speak on life and leadership, and I felt I was at the pinnacle of my success. You know what I'm talking about. You remember a time where you felt at the top of your game. It feels good. We like being there. Now come back to me. And then one day, in one moment, I was in a car accident just a mile from my house. And my life came to a crashing halt. And because I went back to work too soon after my car accident, I literally worked myself to the ground and burned out. I remember being in bed and being so much pain. It was the kind of pain similar to childbirth. You know, back labor pain? You remember? But without the joy of new beginnings. I was so broken. And in that moment, my son came into my bedroom. And he looked at me and with great concern in his eyes, asked me, Mommy, are you going to die? He was only 8 at the time. And I instantly recalled me sitting by my mother's bedside, asking her that very same question just before she passed of cancer. And at that moment, as I held my dear boy in my arm, I asked Jesus, if you said you came to give me life to the fullest and abundance is my portion, then why am I in such a survival mode? Why am I striving so much? Why am I so depleted? Have you ever made those agonizing prayers? If so, you're probably like many of the beautiful women of faith that I get to coach every single day. On the outside, it looks like everything is perfect, but deep down they know that their life is dangerously out of alignment. So how do they compensate with their kids, their family? How do they balance their faith, their life, their business, their ministry, their relationship with their kids, and even their relationship with God? How do they do it all? Well, simply put, they overcompensate. Just like someone who's driving a car that's out of alignment, like this, right? They hold on to the wheel of control because they know that if they let go of the wheel for just a moment, they would end up in the ditch. And you know, when you live that way, there's no margin for error. The slightest misfortune, the slightest challenge can totally push you off the road, just like my accident did. And during this challenging season, God revealed to me this principle. I want to teach it to you this afternoon. Is that okay? You ready? Okay. So it's simply align with God's design. So repeat after me. Align with God's design. And that's the foundational principle that led me to discover the coaching journey that I have created for not only that I walk through myself, but I'm helping all my clients go through. 3 steps: reset, recalibrate, and then rise up. First, we reset. Do you tend to tolerate how God has created you? Or do you actually celebrate it? Ooh, go girl. I mean, think about it. When's the last time you took a personality test? When's the last time you did a list of your core values or surveyed your own leadership style? Because, you're different than you were 20 years ago. Now, I'm not talking the 2003 version of you when you had that really bad haircut and live in regret ever since. I'm not talking about that version of you because you have changed through the years. You have evolved. Yes, and they say, oh, I've done that many years ago. Yes, but you're different. You're different now. And you see, when you get to really align with God's design, you get to celebrate rather than resent God's unique design. You get to leverage it. So you reset, then you recalibrate by developing a healthy rhythms of life. I have another question for you. When's the last time you say no to something good so that you can say yes to that one thing that would actually help you move towards that God-sized dreams of yours? Did you know that Jesus did not always said no? No. I keep saying, I don't know why I keep thinking that mistake in my speech. Jesus did not always say yes. You know that Jesus did not always say no, right? You know that. But Jesus did not always say yes either. And because Jesus said no, so can we. And there's freedom in that. Some of you are here because you needed to hear this. Jesus also said no. And because he said no, there's freedom for us to really discern between the things that are important and urgent. And actually, that leads me to my third point. That is, rise up. We rise up by establishing a step-by-step plan towards our God-sized dream. One of God's most beautiful gifts to us is the gift of time. Time is valuable, it's precious. It's God's greatest gift to us. Yes. How often do we speak of time as something we lack of? Something we're victim of? Oh, I just don't have the time. I'm so busy. Can you relate? I sure can. See, is that every time we complain about our lack of time, it's like saying to God, God, you know that genius idea you had by only giving me 24 hours in a day to do everything you call me to do? You actually set me up for failure and not for success. It's a bad idea, God. And when we do that, we abdicate responsibility for our life, right? But it's time for us to take everybody say radical ownership of your life. I want to teach you a tip today that's going to help you manage your time. When you plan your calendar, write down the things that are important but not urgent first. And allow more times between tasks than you think that you're going to need. Then you won't be running through the day accomplishing little, but you will have room to breathe. Take a deep breath with me. Isn't this what you want? Isn't this what you desperately need? If you know that God is calling you to a new level, but you're not quite sure because, there are times where in our life we need to become the person who can do the things that God asks us to do. There's that expansion from the inside of us. We need to become in order to do, right? So if you know that God is calling you to the next level, but you can't quite imagine it because your pace is already unsustainable, I have a gift for you. It's called, you can write it down, pin it down, write it in your stuff right now. It's a free download for you. It's a gift. It's the number 5 to thrive.org. And that is 5 strategies that will allow you to align with God's design, create space in your life, and will create acceleration towards your God-sized dreams. Because when there's alignment, there's acceleration. Number 5 to thrive.org. I want to close with this story. the story of one of my beautiful clients called Christelle. Christelle is a mother of 4 and a full-time teacher. When she came to me, she said, "Oh, I felt so tired, overwhelmed, overworked, and overcommitted," but she was ready to take radical ownership of her life. She applied my coaching journey. I was able to coach her for a certain period of time, and the change that she experienced in her life were deep, radical, and permanent. Repeat, permanent. And she came to me lately. She said, "Caroline, I'm finally aligned with God's design. I'm stepping into my God-sized dreams. I'm becoming the lead pastor of my church," which in Quebec is a big deal. And that's my heart for you, is to see you step into your God-sized dreams, whatever your dream is, but with clarity, with confidence, and with composure. Sisters, it's your time to align with God's design. Are you ready to live life to the fullest?